Here's a question that sounds stupid until you really think about it. Why would anyone pay $6 for a cup of coffee they could make at home for 20 cents? The answer isn't coffee. It never was. Starbucks figured out something most companies never learn. People don't buy products, they buy identities. And in the process, they turned a commodity that grows on trees in over 70 countries into one of the most valuable retail brands on the planet. Here's the part most people get wrong. Starbucks wasn't founded by Howard Schultz. It was founded in 1971 by three guys in Seattle who just sold coffee beans and equipment. No cups of coffee, no seating, nothing you'd recognize today. Schultz joined years later as a marketing guy, and the story goes that everything changed after a trip to Milan. He walked into an Italian espresso bar and noticed something that had nothing to do with the drink. People weren't rushing in and out. They were lingering, talking, reading the newspaper. The espresso bar was a social ritual, not a transaction. Schultz came back obsessed with one idea. What if he sold that feeling in America? This is where the real strategy begins. Schultz borrowed a concept from sociologist Ray Oldenburg called the third place. Your first place is home. Your second place is work. The third place is somewhere else entirely. A space that isn't obligation and isn't rest, but something people choose to be in. Bars used to be the third place. Churches, barbershops, community halls. Starbucks positioned itself to become America's third place for people who didn't have one anymore. Think about what that actually means from a business standpoint. If you're the third place, you're not competing with Folgers or Maxwell House on price per ounce. You're competing with nowhere else to be. And that's a completely different, far more profitable game. So how do you actually build a third place at scale across thousands of locations? That's where it gets interesting. Once Starbucks knew what they were selling, every single decision got reverse engineered from that goal. The comfortable chairs, the warm lighting, the consistent smell of coffee grounds and steamed milk piped through every store, the soft jazz or indie playlist. None of that is random. It's atmospheric engineering, designed to make you want to stay, not just grab and go. Even the menu language is part of the performance. A tall, a grande, a venti. That's not just branding, it's initiation. Ordering in Starbucks speak makes you a regular, an insider. It's a tiny ritual that makes you feel like you belong to something. Then there's the customization engine. Starbucks made headlines by claiming there are over 170,000 possible drink combinations. Oat milk, extra pump of vanilla, half calf, light ice, 3 splashes of this. That's not really about taste preference. It's about identity expression. When you can build a drink that's yours and have your name spelled wrong written on the cup, you're not buying coffee anymore. You're buying a small, repeatable moment of personal branding. It's the same psychology behind custom sneakers or personalized playlists. Here's a genius, almost accidental piece of marketing. The cup itself. That green siren logo, visible on sidewalks, in office meetings, on Instagram, on college campuses, it became a walking status symbol. Carrying a Starbucks cup signaled something. I have disposable income. I have time to sit somewhere for 20 minutes. I am part of this particular urban, aspirational culture. Starbucks essentially turned millions of customers into unpaid walking billboards. No traditional ad campaign could buy that kind of ambient, everywhere you look visibility. And then, the pumpkin spice latte. Launched in 2003, it became one of the most successful marketing tools in food history. Not because of the flavor, but because of timing and ritual. It signals autumn. It's a cultural countdown clock. People post about PSL season the way they'd post about a holiday. Starbucks essentially created a recurring emotional event that repeats every single year for free, driven entirely by customers. That's the machine. Atmosphere, identity, status, and ritual, all working together so that the coffee itself becomes almost secondary. But building a feeling is one thing. Scaling that feeling to over 38,000 stores worldwide without breaking it, that's the hardest part. And it's also where the cracks start to show. Here's the tension at the heart of the Starbucks story. The third place concept only works if it feels authentic, local, personal. But Starbucks didn't want one third place. It wanted thousands of them, identical, on nearly every corner in every major city. That created a real backlash. Critics and even some customers started calling Starbucks a symbol of homogenized corporate culture, the very opposite of the cozy authenticity it was selling. The joke about there's a Starbucks across the street from another Starbucks became a genuine cultural critique of oversaturation. Then came a shift that undercut the whole third place pitch: mobile ordering and delivery apps. Once people could order ahead on their phone and grab and go, or have a drink delivered to their desk, the entire linger in comfortable chairs model started to matter less. Starbucks had to walk a strange line, still selling the fantasy of the cozy cafe, while operationally optimizing for speed, efficiency, and app-based transactions. That's the paradox of selling a feeling. The more efficient and scaled you become, the harder it is to keep the feeling believable. So what's the real takeaway here, especially if you're thinking about business, marketing, or branding? Starbucks proves that people rarely pay premium prices for a product. They pay premium prices for what the product represents: belonging, identity, ritual, a small pocket of me time in an overscheduled day. This is the same reasoning behind why people pay extra for Apple over a technically comparable PC, or why a gym membership sells transformation instead of treadmills. The product is the vehicle. The feeling is the actual thing being purchased. So next time you're standing in line paying $6 for a latte, ask yourself honestly, are you paying for the coffee, or are you paying for 20 minutes of feeling like you have somewhere to be that isn't home and isn't work? That's the third place. That's the real product. And that's how Starbucks sold a lifestyle instead of coffee. If you found this breakdown interesting, subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology behind the world's biggest brands, and let me know in the comments. What other brand do you think is secretly selling a feeling instead of a product?